The sheriff's flashlight hit my face at the exact second Karen screamed that I was kidnapping the neighborhood. And let me tell you, her voice cracked like she'd spent hours in front of the mirror, rehearsing that line for her imaginary Oscar. There I was, barefoot at 4 in the morning, coffee mug in hand, standing in front of my brand-new 12-foot ranch gate. And behind Karen, her whole HOA squad, looking like they were about to raid a cartel hideout, except the only contraband they'd find was my exhaustion and their own stupidity. You could see every breath in the cold air, smoke trailing from my lips, alarms blaring from 3 rooftops, because these geniuses cut the wrong wire, tripped the whole system, and thought they'd shut me down. Karen shrieking, "He thinks he owns the place, but we own him." And I'm just standing there, sipping my coffee, looking the sheriff dead in the eye, saying, "No, Sheriff, I literally do own the place. And if they cut that last chain, they're about to find out the hard way. This whole block, every driveway, every patch of grass they're standing on, it's mine. Legally." You could watch the realization ripple through the squad. Bolt cutters hung midair, like they were frozen by a remote control. And I swear to you, that's the moment Karen's face started to melt from self-righteous fury to horror. The slow, creeping dread of someone who just heard the ticking clock on a bomb they wired themselves. But hey, let me back up a sec. This circus started a few hours earlier. My phone buzzed with motion alerts. Camera footage showing the HOA squad pacing by my gate in their neon vests, cheap clipboards, little radios clipped to their belts, looking like mall cops who got lost on the way to work. And you know what was special about that day? I had just finished the paperwork. Not just for my house, for the developer land underneath the entire neighborhood. The original builder? Bankrupt decades ago. The land rights? In legal limbo, until I tracked them down, bought them out, and became, for lack of a better word, the landlord of people who thought their HOA dues made them royalty. I didn't flaunt it, didn't want a war, but they brought the war to my door with a citation, claiming my private gate violated community visibility standards and my choice of metal offended the aesthetic. The aesthetic, mind you, being dying grass and cracked concrete. 24 hours to remove it, they said. I said no. That's when Karen rolled out Operation Reclaim Order over her radio like she was SWAT. Midnight came and went. They tried climbing the gate, missed the part where my cameras catch everything. 2 in the morning, and now they're arguing about who gets to cut which lock, like bolt cutters or magic wands. I watched from the porch, not scared, fascinated honestly. Grown adults, dead set on embarrassing themselves. Eventually, I walked out and opened the gate myself, just to ask if they wanted to commit trespassing or vandalism first, so I could label my lawsuit properly. That triggered Karen like I unplugged her last brain cell. Now she's shouting legal words she barely understands, and her squad huddles behind her, ducklings in a thunderstorm. I keep reminding them, I sent you a letter, you're on private land. They act like my gate being not allowed means their rules trump property law. That's about when the sheriff showed up, already looking like he'd lived through this mess a dozen times before. The squad is yelling over each other about hidden tunnels and code violations. Impressive, since, well, at least 2 were true, but none of their business. Sheriff asks if they have paperwork proving they can enter. Karen whips out a letter she typed herself. Sheriff sighs so hard, I thought he'd blow out the streetlights. Karen demands he arrest me for obstructing community improvement. Sheriff turns to me. So, you said you own the neighborhood? I hand him my binder, tabs, highlights, county seal. I was ready for this day. He reads, turned a little pale, and says, "Oh no." HOA squad leans in, jaws dropping as they realize everything they've been bossing people around about belongs to me. Sheriff steps back like he wants nothing to do with what's coming. Karen snatches the binder, flips pages, finally understands her laminated rulebook is just paper. That's when I drop the part they never saw coming. I'm done being patient. The sun starts to rise, gold spilling over the houses, the HOA squad standing like a defeated parade, Karen pacing in little circles, whispering in her radio for backup, as if that had erased the deeds in my hand. Sheriff, wanting none of round 2, tells everyone to sort it out peacefully and leaves, looking like he just aged 5 years. Karen's squad huddles up, bolt cutters hidden behind their backs like a guilty kid with a broken lamp. I lean on my porch, drinking fresh coffee, listening to them argue about whether the sheriff's lying, I forged documents, or the whole county computer system just glitched to ruin their day. Karen finally stomps over, chin up, voice shaky, trying to glue her authority back together. She declares that HOA rules override everything. I can't have a gate, I can't plant trees, my security lights are too bright, and I generally exist in a way that offends community harmony. I almost admire her commitment to delusion. Not every day you see someone reboot after public humiliation. I remind her, the HOA only ever had supervisory privilege over spaces they didn't own. Now I do. So her power? About as real as a carnival badge. Her squad goes silent, except for Carl, who takes notes like he's building a war crimes case. He mutters they should rethink strategy. Karen spins, accuses him of betrayal, says if we lose, chaos reigns. Ironic, since the only chaos is her gang yelling at each other in front of early joggers. I keep it calm. I had no plans to mess with their little operations, until they trespassed and tried cutting my gate. Now, game on. I hand Karen a letter, drafted at midnight, spelling out that from now on, every HOA action on land I own, which is well all of it, needs my written approval. Oh, and I'll be reviewing whether the HOA can even keep operating after tonight's property damage attempt. Karen reads, goes pale, crumples the letter, tosses it at my feet, and starts shrieking about lawsuits, protests, and maybe a documentary. Meanwhile, her squad is melting away, eyes on the sidewalk. Neighbors step outside. Some whisper, some smirk, a guy across the street raises his mug in salute. Karen yells at everyone to go back inside and respect HOA Protocol number 17. No one moves. She pivots, forces a smile that looks like a pain response, tries to compromise. She'll handle aesthetics, I handle land. I shake my head. Compromise was before you try to break in with bolt cutters. Karen's patience snaps. She warns if I overthrow the HOA, there'll be consequences. She won't let one man end years of order. I tell her I'm not overthrowing, just restoring sanity. Then I drop the other shoe. My improvement plans, solar lights, better walkways, new trees, all requiring HOA to back off. Karen wants to see the permits. I point to my binder. When you own the land, the permit office is, well, you. Carl resigns on the spot. Another board member admits she thought the HOA ran bake sales. The squad scatters, Karen stomping in circles. I mention a county meeting later that day about a public notice for HOA operational review. Karen's frozen. She finally gets it. The war is official, and she's losing. Afternoon comes, heat rising off the pavement. The neighborhood is an arena, everyone peeking out, waiting. I head for my truck, folder in hand. Karen, parked across the street, is gripping her wheel like she's holding the last lifeboat on the Titanic. She tails me all the way to the county building. I roll down my window, ask if she plans to do this all day or find a new hobby. She just glares. Inside, the clerk already knows me. Land documents prepped, meeting room ready. Karen barges in, demand to attend as neighborhood rep. Clerk says no standing. Karen puffs up, insists the HOA owns the neighborhood. I slide the binder over. Clerk shows her the transfer of rights. Watching her face collapse? Most satisfying moment all month. Clerk calmly explains the HOA has zero ownership, no authority, can't override a landowner. Karen sputters, insists the handbook rules everything from fences to mailbox colors to personal attitude. Clerk says a coupon booklet has the same legal power. Karen's offended by reality. She tries to record, gets shut down, almost trips over a chair, then finally gets escorted out. My meeting goes smoothly. Plans approved. HOA operation suspended. Bureaucratic victory. Karen, pacing the hallway, muttering into her radio, which now gets nothing but static since everyone's quit. She demands to know what lies I told. I hand her the notice. HOA powers paused. She screams. I remind her nothing's been destroyed, just exposed. She storms off, finger wagging, like a villain in the first act of a movie. I drive home, feeling that shift in the air. Karen's not done. Sure enough, she's got her loyalists at the HOA shed, standing on a chair, giving a speech about liberation, waving the handbook like scripture. When I pull up, she threatens that if I think owning the land means victory, I haven't seen anything yet. She's right about one thing: the war's only started. Next morning, tense quiet, like the neighborhood's holding its breath. I check my new surveyor markers, spot tire tracks on the grass, a makeshift stage by the HOA shed, Karen in sunglasses, bullhorn in hand, preaching about tyrant landlords. She accuses me of planning to bulldoze homes and install surveillance drones, says she read in my face. An old man nearly spits coffee from laughing. I explain the truth to the crowd. The only reason I stepped in was the bolt cutter break-in. No one's being evicted. Karen's bullhorn gets louder. New patrol shifts, legal defense funds, random yard inspections. The crowd groans. Someone yells, "Didn't sign up for this." People peel away. My contractor's truck turns the corner. Karen panics, accuses me of bringing demolition crews. My guy just shrugs. Is she okay? Temporary, I tell him. Karen tries to block construction, threatens sabotage, then trips and lands in a thorn bush. Residents start talking about recalling the board. Someone tells me, "We support you." She fined me for having flowers that were too bright. Karen says bright flowers are a visual hazard. Her authority? Melting faster than a popsicle on a Texas driveway. Then comes a desperate last stand, self-declared neighborhood lockdown. Cones, barricades, checkpoint at the entrance, Karen in a vest that says temporary authority, clipboard the size of her ego. She stops cars, claims a land ownership contamination issue. County officer rolls up, asks what's happening. Karen rants about structural collapse, waves her hand-drawn map. Officer checks my paperwork, confirms ownership, tells Karen she has no authority, and if she keeps blocking roads, there'll be consequences. She paces, screaming conspiracy, claims she'll take matters into her own hands. Next day, I wake to a community alert taped to my door. Karen's last-ditch manifesto, accusing me of plotting to sell the neighborhood to a developer for a luxury parking lot. State of emergency, she calls it. Sunset meeting at the HOA shed. The air is electric, neighbors debating whether to go or avoid the disaster. I go just in case. The shed's now a makeshift war room. Chairs like barricades, old signs as shields, Karen with developer sketches, a lockbox she claims holds the key to restoring HOA rule. She cracks it open. Just old newsletters, a broken measuring tape, some brochures. A ripple of disbelief. She insists these have symbolic power, marches toward my property, broken tape held high. I intercept her. She screams I stole her world, her identity. Her power snaps. The crowd is silent, watching her realize no one stand with her anymore. She lowers the tape, voice a dying echo. It's not over. She leaves alone. And you'd think that'd be the end, but Karen? She's a storm that doesn't clear, just circles back around. Neon orange ribbons on every mailbox, a final notice threatening one last demonstration of stewardship. At noon, she climbs a makeshift tower in the park, screaming she'll end my ownership. The crowd gathers, uneasy. The tower wobbles. She falls, not far but enough. I help her up. For once, the neighbors just want her to be okay. Tears in her eyes, Karen whispers she doesn't know who she is without the HOA. I tell her the neighborhood doesn't need a ruler, just a neighbor. She nods, broken but honest, as the ambulance takes her away. Days pass. Renovations finish. And one evening, I spot her on a park bench. No vest, no clipboard, just a neighbor. She nods. Maybe, just maybe, that's the start of real peace around here. So, tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have fought back the same way? Or would you have let Karen run wild? Is it justice to hold your ground? Or should we sometimes just let people believe they're in charge? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your side. And if you've got your own wild HOA story, now's the time to share it.